Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Itiko bhikkave tathagato datta dattabbang ditthang na manyati iti. Dear Dhamma friends, actually we were discussing one interesting sutta that was called Kalakarama Sutta, available in Anguttara Nikaya, the numerical discourses of the Buddha. And basically, if we consider the history of the Buddha, this particular sutta, it's quite interesting. And as you all know, there were several daughters to the wealthy merchant Anathapindika, who is the foremost lay disciple of the Buddha. And one of them are called Chula Subhadra. Actually, Chula Subhadra is a Sotapanna, a stream winner. And now she was married to another very far away merchant. And his father is called Kalaka. Now Chula Subhadra is now going to that very far place. But anyway, before going there, she respected the Buddha and informed him and make a kind of a vow. So Bhante, in case I need your help, in case if I invite you for something, for dana for example, please favor me, please help me. So please acknowledge my invitation, accept my invitation. So she made this kind of request from the Buddha before she leaves. And so after she went to there, so this Kalaka and his son, of course, our whole family are from a different faith. They are following the ascetics, naked ascetics. And once Chula Subhadra arrived at home, there was a kind of a ceremony offering to these naked ascetics. After seeing their nature, so this Chula Subhadra was quite embarrassed. And she was complaining. And she was complaining to Kalaka, saying, okay, this is not the real noble people. So they are not naked. And so in a way it's a kind of a criticism for those people. And they got really angry. And then the Kalaka also was disappointed about the behavior of this new coming so-called daughter-in-law, because you know the daughter-in-law has to always respect the, say the father-in-law, mother-in-law, and the husband and the sister and all those. And so that's the typical Indian society. But this Chula Subhadra was quite, in a way, sort of stubborn, not respecting their so-called nobles. She refused to respect those nobles. And after a kind of a criticism, so this Kalaka, the father-in-law, actually made a kind of a challenge to this Chula Subhadra. Okay, if you are saying your nobles, the known so-called real nobles, if you know them, okay, ask them to come to my house. I am going to give them dana offering tomorrow. So the incident happened today, and you should provide them, you should invite them. I am going to arrange it tomorrow. So this is a kind of a challenge. And then Chula Subhadra, being a disciple of the Buddha, a devoted noble disciple, and she invited the Buddha through some flowers. And after determining her sila, understanding, and she throw the flowers to the sky, and it is said, so those flowers travel towards the Buddha through the sky, and ultimately while Buddha was preaching Dhamma, so they appear like a kind of a garland, something like that. So anyway, after the Dhamma sermon, Buddha was invited to dana, almsgiving, by the Anathapindika. Because Anathapindika often invites Buddha and the Sangha for his house for almsgiving. But this time, when he invited, then Buddha said, okay, merchant, I can't accept your invitation because I already accepted an invitation. So then another Pindika was surprised. I mean, Bhante, I haven't seen anyone who arriving you, asking you, expecting you for tomorrow's dana. So how come, from whom that you have accepted the invitation? Then Buddha said, you see, these flowers are from Chula Subhadra, your daughter. So she has invited me for dana. So I have to visit her tomorrow. So then the merchant also quite happy. And it is said, even the god Sakka helped Buddha and the Sangha to visit there. And Buddha also invited Arahants, not the typical monks. 500 Arahants he has selected to go to this new place. This area is called Saketa. That area seems not really heard about the Buddha's teaching, Dhamma, so it's new to them. And that's why the other various religious sects are very much established there. But this is the first time, seems like Buddha visiting there, the Sangha visiting there. So Buddha and the Sangha, in a fairly glorious manner, next day they visited there. And by seeing the sight itself, that this Kalaka was quite happy, pleased. And then he offered the dana, the alms, and Buddha, after that, Buddha preached some Dhamma. And Kalaka himself became a Sotapanna, stream winner. And then actually he quite convinced about the Buddha Dhamma Sangha. He gone for refuge, Buddha Dhamma Sangha, and he want to offer a kind of a vihara, a temple. So he had a garden, and he offered that to the Buddha and the Sangha, preparing a monastery, and that is called Kalakarama. So the monastery name is called Kalakarama. Now after some time, many others also gathered there. Now Buddha is preaching Dhamma and Sangha is gathering there. Now slowly, Buddha's teaching is thriving, and people are approaching and asking questions, and they are quite confident. Now some monks are also ordaining from that side. Lay people are ordaining, and now they become monks. So likewise, the sasana well established there, and one day the monks residing there were quite pleased about what has happened, and they were talking about the Buddha's sublime qualities. See how fortunate these people, they have never heard about the Dhamma. After the arrival of the Buddha and the Sangha, say they all got the opportunity to listen to Dhamma, and now we all are well received by these people, and people are quite happy, they are practicing, and so they were quite appreciating the Buddha's teaching, and particularly the Buddha's qualities. And Buddha heard this before he is arriving this meeting place. Now he arrived the meeting place, and he asked, as usual, monks, what was the topic that you were discussing before my arrival? And they mentioned, Bhante, we were discussing about you, the change which has happened because of you to this area, to this whole Saketa area. And then, making this opportunity, Buddha delivers the Kalakarama Sutta. So this is the kind of a background story. So how this Kalakarama Sutta was delivered, preached by the Buddha. And it is actually a very concise sutta. It is not a very descriptive sutta. Very concise, but very, very profound. Even though it is concise, it's a very, very profound sutta. And it has taken as a topic, even in Sri Lanka, to preach Dhamma by Arahants. And there's a very interesting historical event happened during the King Saddhatissa. One venerable Arahant called Kala Buddharakkita, and he delivered the Dhamma sermon on a, dark moon day? The complete absence of the moon? Dark night? During a dark night, at at a location which is also Kala Buddharakkhita, Kala. There are several terms there. During the completely dark day, and Kalu Timbirigaha. I don't know what's the singular term, English term for that. So anyway, so this Venerable Kala Buddha Rakkita was delivering this Dhamma sermon using the Kalakarama as the topic, Sutta as the topic, and King Saddhatissa also arrived the gathering, but he was little late. But he didn't want to disturb the audience, and he, while standing throughout the whole night, he has listened to the Dhamma. And we can imagine what a kind of a faithful king he was, and he understood, okay, there is a deep Dhamma sermon going on, now it was already started. He didn't want to come forward and, disturb the gathering, but he simply stand at the behind, and even standing, he quietly listened to the Dhamma. In the morning it was said that the Dhamma sermon was finished, but inspired king loudly said, Sadhu, Sadhu. Then everybody heard the king's voice. They were surprised. And monk Venerable Buddha Rakkita also has seen the king, noticed the king, and he mentioned, you being the king, who is used to a fairly comfortable setting, you have done a great thing by whole night standing and listening to Dhamma. You had a kind of dedicated way of appreciation. And there's a very beautiful conversation between Kala Buddharakkhita Thero and the king Saddhatissa. And King Saddhatissa is asking, Bhante, is it the only qualities, sublime qualities of the Buddha? Is it all? So you have preached that throughout this night. Is it all? Are there some more? What do you think? So it is mentioned that several similes were given, very beautiful. Venerable Buddha Rakkita was saying, okay, king, if imagine there was a hawk maybe flying on the sky. Because of his large say wings, there may be a certain amount of certain area of the sky being covered. You can understand, right? So when the hawk is traversing, flying on the sky, because of his wings, there may be a certain amount of area of the sky which could cover the sky. And what is it, king, great king? Is the area covered by the hawk's wings is larger, or the area not covered is larger? So what's the answer? The area not covered by his wings is much, much larger. So it's an immeasurable amount of, the huge amount of sky is there, so you can't, it's very, very vast, infinite, and from that infinite sky, very negligible amount of area being covered by the wings of the hawk. Similarly, the great king, the amount of Dhamma, amount of the Buddha's qualities I have preached all this night is very much like the amount of the sky covered by the wings of the hawk. The amount that I haven't preached is very much like the amount which is not covered by the hawk's wing. So therefore the qualities, the sublime qualities of the Buddha is very, very immeasurable. I have preached only a very, very little thing. So likewise, very beautiful similes are there, and how Venerable Kala Buddha Rakkita convincing the king how sublime, how noble is the Buddha, his qualities. And after listening to this Dhamma, inspired king has offered the whole country as a gift to the Venerable Kala Buddha Rakkita, and then he returned it back asking, okay king, you are a very just king, righteous king, and you may rule the country in a righteous way. So this kind of a very historical event is there. Now if we come to the structure of this sutta, it is divided into 5 components, or we can say 5 areas. The first area is called Sarvajñata Bhumi. Sarvajñata Bhumi, talking about the omniscience of the Buddha. You know that whenever Buddha wants to know a particular subject, it's quite open to him. He can know it. There is no any barrier, there is no any hindrance, there is no any kind of covering blurred area. So everything is visible, everything is completely known by the Buddha. And therefore it is called even the Anavarana Jnana, where the knowledge of the Buddha is quite open. So any particular area when he want to pay attention become evident to him. Things are evident. Then the second area is called Shinastra Bhumi, where all the asavas are completely abandoned. His mind has become completely pure. So the taints, asavas, 4 asavas, kamasava, the taint of sensual desire, bhavasava, the taint of being, then the avijjasava, the taint of ignorance, and sometimes we add the ditthasava, which can be included in the avijjasava. So the ditthasava, the taint of wrong view. So all these taints are completely abandoned in the Buddha. So that the second stage of the sutta is explained very much talking about this taintless, influx-free state of the Buddha. In a way, the purity of the Buddha. And the third stage is called the Satya Bhumi, how he delivered the Dhamma and how he is well established in the truth. How he is established in the truth. So last time actually we discussed that area, the truth, Satya Bhumi. In one sense, how he is revealing the Satya, kind of eternal truth. Maybe talking about the impermanence, suffering, non-self, this as kind of a truth which may exist in this world. Either Buddha arise or not, this is kind of a truth which is kind of governing, which is kind of existing in the world, a sublime truth. Buddha actually reveals it, explains it, makes it simple so that one can understand it, and he himself understood it, realized it. So it is a truth. And on the other hand, if we consider the Patissamuppada, how this whole world system, how the whole conditioned phenomena, how they are very much like governed, and how the mentality works within a being, we can say, a conscious being, how the mind is working, Patissamuppada, Idappaccheta. So all that also can be considered as a truth. And not only that, and sometimes people are talking about the truth. They understood through the saddha, the faith, because of their desire, their ruchi, the like. They have followed certain path and they acquired some knowledge. They consider that as the truth. And then maybe anussava, there may be a kind of a knowledge coming from generation to generation. Then people might be interested of that and they acquire that knowledge and they consider that as the truth. And then through the logical reasoning they understand something and they think that is the truth. And sometimes their understanding or their way of thinking and someone else's view may tally properly, so therefore they accept that as the truth. So there are 5 different ways of acquiring knowledge in a way. Saddha, ruchi, anussava, akara parivitakka, ditti nijjhana kanti. So these are explained last time actually. And Buddha says the truth can be there or might not be there. So you better have an open mind. So the Buddha's attitude is quite mature. So even though one may has a lot of faith and simply believe what someone else is saying, so what you believe, what you trust, might have the truth or might not have the truth. So therefore have an open mind. It is not the complete denial of all these 5 methods, but they encourage all these 5 methods, but have an open mind. but give a more prominence to the experiential knowledge. That is where Satipatthana stands. You give prominence to experiential knowledge, not a mere superficial belief. Rather, try to develop understanding through experience. So then you can say, okay, I have arrived the truth, I understood the truth, not mere logical reasoning, not mere faith, not mere belief, not mere desire, not mere coming from an oral tradition. Rather, I understood the truth by developing the spiritual faculties. So the fairly mature path, Buddha explained how to arrive the truth, understand the truth. And even the Four Noble Truths. So that's another area. So likewise, truth is one area sometimes discussed in the Dhamma. And Buddha in this Kalakarama Sutta emphasize he know for sure what others are thinking, what others are imagining, what others are, through their faculties, what they experience. Everything I know. A kind of an affirmation of his understanding. And I know better than them. I have penetrated what they know. So another level of understanding. And even though I know everything, I am not adhering to them, I am not grasping them, I am not considering them as me, myself, or mine. A very, very interesting area of the Srinasrava Bhumi, where he is not trapped in the knowledge. So knowledge is there, but he is not trapped in it. He is not adhering to it. He is not grasping it. So likewise, his understanding is very, very profound in that sense. So he is confirming his understanding. So therefore, in this area of the truth, the Satya Bhumi, in this Kalakarama Sutta very profoundly say, so he confirms it. Okay, I know it. I thoroughly know it. And so he denies the other things. If I say I don't know, it is a false. So likewise, he is affirming his knowledge, his understanding. So it is the truth. Now we have to step into the fourth area, that is called the Sunyata Bhumi. This is actually totally relevant to the practice. So we have to spend fair amount of time explaining this. It is worth taking some time because Sunyata, the emptiness, totally relevant to Vipassana. But anyway, immediately stepping into emptiness, so it's quite difficult. So no point of immediately jump into the emptiness. So we have to discuss a little bit of the foundation, how a Vipassana yogi is progressing in his understanding. So I like to get a little attention of you to a particular book called Paving the Way by Most Venerable Sayadaw U Pandita, a Burmese Sayadaw, who is a student of Mahasi Sayadaw. So this Paving the Way book, it's a very, very short, very small book, but he is giving a kind of a systematic progress, how the Vipassana is growing, happening, developing in one's mind. And the first stage is very much like you cut off this conceptual burden of the mind. Now say for example, we consider ourselves as someone, my name is this, my race is this, my religion is this, my age is this, I am living in this area, my identity card number is this, so my education is this, and I have this much of a understanding or say a degree, my education, my wealth, my account balance. So many things are there to define ourselves as a person. And as a result of that, we tend to think, imagine, proliferate, overthinking, all these things are there. And we believe all those are true, all those are correct, all those exist. So this is how we typically perceive the world. We being a person and the world also exists, and they are the way that I am being taught at the college, at the university, taught by my parents, taught by my teachers. So this is how I perceive. So this is the typical conceptual understanding, the conventional understanding we all have. Now in meditation, particularly in Vipassana, So you are supposed to little simplify your conceptual burden. Say for example, while you are practicing Anapanasati, so your too much thinking is discouraged. So you can't practice Anapanasati while encouraging thinking. So rather, thinking is fairly discouraged. So keep the mind quiet as much as possible. Similarly, say while walking, so you simply allowed to walk mindfully. Don't encourage thinking. Your mind may tempt to think about the past, regret about what has happened, imagine about the future, wish about various things, plan. All these things are there, so that is the natural way of our mind's behavior. But don't encourage that. Simplify your experience. Just walk, simply recognizing the bodily movement, how the body being moved from this end to the other end, and how it appear like. It's maybe like a robot going from this end to the other end. Maybe you are very much like recognizing the movements of the body, and you know very well, I am not standing, not sitting down, not lying down. This body is now moving. Or in the other hand, assume that now if you are practicing sitting meditation, you know, okay, now the body is sitting, not standing, not lying down, not walking, but sitting. So the postures, iriyapata pabbha, nisinnova nisinnom hiti pajanati, gaccantova gaccami iti pajanati. So while sitting, you know, okay, now the body is sitting. While walking, you know, okay, now the body is walking. So very much like awaken or aware about the posture. Very simple in a way. So you cut off every other thing. Don't think about the country, don't think about the religion, don't think about the say gas price, don't think about the politics. What else you want? What else are you thinking? So don't think about your husband, don't think about your children, don't think about your wife, don't think about your grandchildren. Just recognize that body is walking. Just simplify in a way. We have so many things to think, but thinking is now discouraged. Instead, recognize how the body is moving from this end to the other end during the walking. Say during the sitting, how the body is situated, positioned, maybe keeping the head straight, neck straight, shoulders relaxed, arms resting and back straight, eyes closed like a statue. Okay, you recognize this body, how the sitting posture. Discarding all unnecessary thinking, kind of a de-learning process. Reducing the burden, simplifying. And as you encourage this body awareness, then you know, okay, now this body is breathing, and accordingly the rising and falling of the abdomen, and maybe heart vibration, and blood circulation. Here and there are some aches and pains. So this is a living body. So we all have a living body. Hope you all have a living body. So once our awareness is established to this living body, so you can feel this, isn't it? So this is the nature. So this body is living, this is breathing. And there are here and there certain aches and pains, maybe little sweating, maybe heat. All these are very natural, quite apparent experiences. So we are experiencing the body. So the body awareness being developed. And sometimes nowadays I heard in the clinical psychology, there is an interesting term called, came to the mind, now it slipped. Proprioceptive awareness. Probably you can search what is proprioception and then the proprioceptive awareness. Because sometimes you people are interested of these sophisticated terms than the Buddhist terms. So in the proprioceptive awareness, what they say is that the body has some kind of, so the person has some kind of understanding of the posture, how it is situated in this space, the orientation. So that some understanding about the orientation of the body is called the proprioceptive awareness. So in a way, in this Kayanupassana, the first stage is very much developing that. So you are having that understanding. Okay, now the body is situated like this. Head is straight, neck is straight, shoulders are relaxed, arms resting, upper half of the body straight, eyes are closed. How the body is situated, positioned. So this understand the positioning. So this very much is the first stage. You recognize the position. How the body is positioned as a statue while we are sitting. How it is positioned each and every step when we are walking. If the body is lying down, how the body is positioned while during the lying down posture. Likewise, so you get a kind of an established mindfulness within the posture, and it is not a thinking mind. You don't need to think to know it. Rather, you can experience it. It's quite different. So we used to think, but without thinking, you can directly know it. So that is very, very different in a way. So we are taught to think, imagine, proliferate, but now without imagining, without proliferating, without obsessively overthinking, you can directly know that body is sitting, body is lying down, body is walking, how the walking posture is felt. So what you feel while walking, what you feel like when you are sitting. So very much like grounding yourself, earthing yourself. So no need to think. You can earth yourself. You are well grounded. You are well connected to the body. So this is a must in a way. So the first stage of Kayanupassana is to establish mindfulness like this. As much as possible you cut off unnecessary thinking, overthinking, keep the mind fairly quiet, well established within the body, and you are fully aware of what's really going on right now within this body. The bhikkhave kaye kayanupassi viharati. And atapi. And you have a kind of a setup to abandon various, defilements and sampajano, and you know you are awake and the alertness is very should be available. You are not sleeping. Are you, any of you? All are awake? So everybody has to be fully awake. So during the meditation, okay, you are expected to be fully awake. That presence of mind and your vigilance. Not mere mindfulness, but a little presence or little investigation, knowing part. Not a kind of a, drowsy type of a state, rather quite active state, vigilant state. Atapi sampajano satima vinaya loke abhijja domanasang. As much as possible, abandon the defilements, keep the mind fairly undefiled, well balanced, equanimous. So then, very much like this is the environment surrounding we need to have, which is suitable for Satipatthana meditation, mindfulness meditation. And once you are aware of this position, the posture of the body, now the second stage is further to recognize a certain process. Say for example, breathing. Say you recognize the rising and falling of the abdomen, which is happening because of the breathing. And currently, are you experiencing the rising? Or are you experiencing the falling? So the next stage is to know that level, what we call as the akara, the current situation. Previously, it's very much like the overall appearance, but now you are little refining your attention, and you have selected a particular process, particular phenomena, and what stage is it at present? Is it right now in the rising process, or is it right now in the falling process? Say, if you consider the walking, is it right now your left foot is touching the ground, or is it right now the right foot is touching the ground? Now we are going into the process, very much like right now, at very, very present, sharply present. At present, what is the stage? At present, at this current stage, what is the level, what is the state of this process? Is it rising? Are you experiencing right now? Or is it falling? Are you experiencing right now? And if we further refine, probably you may understand, okay, I am experiencing the beginning of rising. This is what I am experiencing right now. Okay, I am experiencing the middle of rising. I am experiencing the end of rising. Okay, I am experiencing the gap of rising and in between rising and the falling. I am experiencing the beginning of the falling. So likewise, we are now further refining this particular process. So similar thing in the Anapanasati. Are you experiencing the in-breath right now, or are you experiencing the out-breath? Are you experiencing the beginning of the in-breath, middle of the in-breath, end of the in-breath? So likewise, very, very refined, momentary understanding. So we are very much like refining our attention rather than, scattered attention. So you are having a fairly refined, well-focused attention to the present moment, taking to the very moment, momentary level. Currently, at present, at this moment, what you experience. So likewise, the attention, the focus has to be well handled, focused. Then you know only the present moment. Okay, at present, say I am using the term I, just for explanation, I am experiencing rising. I am experiencing the beginning of rising, middle of rising, end of rising. Or I am experiencing the in-breath, the beginning of the in-breath, middle of the in-breath, end of the in-breath. So likewise, we are further refining. So this whole process basically helps to establish mindfulness. And not only that, to recognize exactly what is happening right now. The clear comprehension part is there. The knowledge part, understanding part is there. Not mere mindfulness, not superficial mindfulness, but within the mindfulness, you know exactly what is happening right now, at this moment. So you have that vigilance. You have that inquiring quality, the investigative quality of the mind. And as we are progressing, any kind of a meditation, then you may arrive, okay, all these physical phenomena, I am talking about the Kaya Anupassana, all these physical phenomena are showing some basic characteristics. Elementary characteristics are there. They are showing hardness, smoothness, roughness, smoothness, hardness, softness, roughness, smoothness, heaviness, lightness, fluidity, cohesion, heat, cold, movements, vibrations. So these are the very basic fundamental characteristics of this whole physical world. What we call the dhatu, elements. Patavi, Apo, Tejo, Vayo. Earth element, water element, fire element, air element. So like in the present scientific understanding, we are talking about the, the Avartavagu? Periodic table, right? Periodic table and different matter, right? Different matter. So from the Buddhist religious type of understanding, okay, Buddha say, okay, this whole physical realm can be very much like simplified into these 4 elements. We don't need to go to many raw materials in the periodic table. You can simplify your whole physical experience using these 4 elements. And those can be felt. You don't need a specific tool, instrument, sophisticated instrument to know it. You can feel it. You can recognize it. What you really need is a mindfulness. You really need the focus attention. Just discussed. So when these spiritual, mental qualities are very much available, you can recognize the availability of the earth element, the manifestation of the earth element, manifestation of the water element, manifestation of the air element, manifestation of the heat element. Because this whole body is made up with these 4 elements, and once mindfulness concentration is well established, and I was talking about the elements, the 4 elements, and the important thing is these 4 elements you can recognize, because this body is made up with these 4 elements. All our surrounding is made up with these 4 elements. So it's a matter of developing certain faculties to recognize these 4 elements. You don't need a specific instrument to know. Rather, you need mindfulness, you need concentration, pay attention, and then you can recognize the manifestation of the earth element, manifestation of the water element, manifestation of the air element, manifestation of the heat element. So likewise, a very direct experience. You don't need to think. You don't need a language. All the man-made, tools, languages are irrelevant when you are capable of directly experiencing these four elements. Very interesting. To know the four elements, you don't need any instrument. So a monk is not taking a microscope or any other probe or any other scientific instrument to the forest to recognize the four elements, unlike the scientist today, what he is doing in a laboratory. So the Buddha's investigation is based on the spiritual faculties. So you are developing certain spiritual faculties. With these spiritual faculties, you can directly know the manifestation of the earth element, manifestation of the water element, manifestation of the air element, heat element, etc. So now you are coming to another level of understanding in Vipassana, and that typical names, position, the place, education, and all that mundane, typical conventional jargon, everything left out. You don't need to look at them, you don't need to think about them. All are very much like abandoned from your consciousness. Now you are well established in the elements. You know the sabhava lakhana. Sometimes we call them as the individual characteristics. Earth element has its own very specific characteristics. Air element has its very specific characteristics. Water element has its specific characteristics, individual characteristics. So each and every element has its very specific characteristics, and you can know that. You can recognize that using this very body. Once you are connected to the body, you can recognize the manifestation of these elements. And now you are observing that for a long time, for example. Every day you develop mindfulness, connected to the body, focusing the attention, and the manifestation of these elements become quite evident. More and more you experience it. We call the dhatu manasikara, elements meditation. Very interesting, because it is developing the wisdom. Dhatu manasikara, the elements meditation, is fairly a knowledge arising type of provoking kind of meditation. It promotes the wisdom in the mind. Not through thinking. That's the interesting thing. Not through thinking, not through imagining. Rather through investigation. You need mindfulness, you need focused attention, your mind is well concentrated, and now you are investigating. You can recognize the manifestation of earth, water, fire, air, etc. And the interesting thing is, so as you continue like this, probably you get another level of understanding. Okay, here also elements. What is available outside? There are also elements. So no difference. We have given different names. I am talking this as a clock, this as a table, this as a recorder, this as a cup. So many names are given just for communication, but all are mere elements. So is this clock, does it know that I am named as a clock? So those are our conventions. Those are our labels. Those are human naming, just for our communication. If you ask from a dog, what's the name of this? He'll ask from us, are you mad? We don't use the name clock to this. Probably in their language, probably they may be using a different name. I don't know. So likewise, so the names are just mere labels, but we strongly adhere to them, we strongly attach to them. So that is because of our foolishness, stupidity in a way. But all that are now fairly abandoned. So we are awakened to the very subtle elementary characteristics. And so you understand, okay, this body also made up with these elements. Outside, all physical components, physical objects are all made up with elements. So there is no boundary, like internal, external boundary is now blurred. And it is quite easy to attach to something when such boundary is there. When you name, okay, this is a beautiful body, there's another beautiful body, and you give it a name, there's a man, there's a woman, another level of categorization, demarcation, and then you apply a specific name as in the birth certificate, and so many different kinds of distinctions, then it is quite easy to attach, grasp. But when you are generalizing, so you are coming to a kind of a generalizing, where here also elements, there are also elements, there is no difference. The earth element present in this body, earth element present in another body, earth element present in this object, are there any difference? So ultimately there is no difference. Everywhere are the elements. Now say for example, say 30, 40 years ago, assume, or maybe 60 years ago, so you are reborn, you are born as a little kid, an infant. Say your weight is, say, how many kilos typically? 9 kilos? 8 kilos? Okay, 8 kilos, I don't know. Okay. Well, very good birth, fairly heavy. Not an immature one, fairly mature birth. And just now what is your weight? 9 kilos, 10 kilos? So how did you absorb, how did you acquire this much of weight? How? Well, from the outside. Starting from the breastfeeding and then eating and eating and eating. So you overeating, now maybe you are 70, 80, 100 kilos. All came from the outside. So we think now this is my body, this is internal, and we say this is outside, that is external. But there is no difference. I mean, here also body made up with elements, there are also elements. So today also we had kind of an elements transaction. What is that? That is our lunch. Kind of an elements transaction. What we call as the external elements, now we have took inside the body and now we call it as internal elements. So that is our naming, but there is no difference. So likewise, when the understanding is growing, as there is no point of categorization, demarcation like internal, external, all are mere elements. So the grasping starts reducing. Holding starts reducing. Yacheva kopana ajattika patavi dhatu, yacha bahida patavi dhatu revesa. So Buddha emphasized, whatever the so-called internal earth element, whatever the so-called external earth element are merely earth element. No distinction, no difference, are mere earth element. So likewise, all other elements are the same. So everywhere, mere elements. So if one is coming to such kind of an understanding, so the grasping, upadana, I-making, mind-making may reduce. But that is another stage of our Vipassana. So how one may practice elements meditation, as a result of that understanding, grasping also reduce, delusion may be reduced, you recognizing yourself as a person, as an individual also might be reduced. So likewise, fairly kind of an awakening process is happening. A wisdom is being grown. Insights are happening. And another level of Vipassana, rather than seeing the individual characteristics, more you see individual characteristics, probably your mind may look at another angle. So all these individual characteristics, all these earth element, water element, air element, heat element, they are not static. They are quite dynamic. They are changing. They show the arising, they stay for a while and then pass away. Say for example, cold is not a noun, but it's a cooling. It's a kind of a verb. Heat, also kind of a process, type of a thing. Say hardness. So it is a noun or verb. So if we consider hardness, we can say, oh, it's a noun. So we have given very specific categorizations in our language. So we tend to think hardness is something very solid, something static, something permanent. So we have that kind of a perception. How about if we are saying, okay, it's a kind of a recognition, or how to say, hardness is something that starts showing the quality of hardness and changing that quality, and ultimately it also disappears. So you recognize the hardness as an evolving quality. Say temperature. So this temperature, as heat cold, is it a quality or is it something solid? Or say if we consider the vibration, movement, is it a quality or is it something solid? That is quite obvious, right? The vibration is some kind of a movement, kind of a change. It shows the change. And you can't say it is a kind of a matter, very fixed solidity is there. Rather, it's a vibration, it's a movement, it's a change, continuous change. So even the hard, solid quality, what we attribute to the earth element, is not really solid. Rather, it's a kind of a quality which shows, and it is evolving. And the hardness you experience is something that you experience as a evolving quality. So therefore all the different elements, they can't be considered as some solid, fixed, permanent characteristics. Rather, all these characteristics, element characteristics, are changing qualities, evolving qualities. Another level of Vipassana knowledge, we can say, another level of understanding, where you are stepping into the Sankata Lakkana, the conditioned characteristics. So whatever conditioned phenomena, they show these characteristics. They show the arising nature, changing nature, and passing away nature. All conditioned phenomena. And we were discussing primarily the Rupakkhanda, the physicality. So all physical phenomena are showing their arising, changing, passing away. Do you agree with me? Now we can expand it to for a house, for example. Say this building. So this building, for example, was built, say 20 years ago. Maybe after another 50 years ago, maybe the whole building collapsed and ultimately become dust, and ultimately completely everything disappear. We can understand that. But that is not enough. That kind of an understanding, that impermanence is not enough. So we are, through the understanding, through the spiritual qualities, skills, one has to see, one has to come to a level that using the body, once you recognize earth element, so this earth element is not kind of a matter. It is not something static. It is not something permanent. Rather, the earth element is manifesting as a process. It is also showing the beginning, changing, passing away. Beginning, changing, passing away. Water element also same. Air element also same. Heat element also same. All these qualities are changing qualities. They are not fixed qualities. Their intensity is continuously varying, continuously changing. So we are stepping into the Sankata Lakkana of the Rupakkhanda, the form aggregate. And now the mind is very quiet, focused. That focused attention is drawn to the body. Now body appear like all these different elements. You can't find a demarcation of where the head, where the shoulders, where the tummy. Those are all gone now. All labeling is erased like. And you don't know what's the time, you don't know where the position, you are at Kalalgoda, Kalambu, all that conventional stuff abandoned. You know exactly there are different elements are changing, they are arising, changing, passing away, arising, changing, passing away, arising, changing, passing away. How about your mind? Is it thinking? Is it an imagination? So the imaginations are not there. Thinking is not there. So the mind has to be very quiet, very silent. The silent mind, focused mind, a mindful mind, investigating mind, recognizing the qualities of the elements, they are arising, changing, passing away. Something like that. So another level of Vipassana, we can say, another stage of Vipassana, where the yogi is understanding the Sankata Lakkana, the conditioned characteristics. Upado panyayati, vayo panyayati, titassa anyatattam panyayati. So one recognize all these conditioned phenomena. We stick to the conditioned physical phenomena. All these conditioned physical phenomena are showing certain order, certain behavior. They show the arising, they show the changing, they show the passing away. Everything is showing this common nature. Something like that. So likewise, the elements meditation is a fairly wisdom-based method. And if we are practicing like that, so the grasping is reduced, eye-making, mind-making, all that fairly reduced. And the value that we have given to all these different, say, physical objects fairly reduced. Mind become dispassionate. All these different other spiritual qualities also may develop. And we'll discuss further tomorrow about the other stages of Vipassana. And we'll step into the quality of non-self and then step into Sunyata, maybe hopefully tomorrow. Okay, with that note, I'll conclude today's Dhamma sermon. Thank you very much for attentive listening. Okay, as usual, we share the merits after the Dhamma sermon. So today also we have gathered here, spent fair amount of time developing mindfulness, concentration, wisdom, and we observed Sila and listened to Dhamma and discussed about the Dhamma, about our practice. So all those merits, what we have acquired, accrued, we share with all the celestial beings, we share with all the past relatives, and we share these merits with whoever in need of merits. And we wish these merits help us also to understand the Buddha's teaching, practice it to the best of our ability, and to attain path, fruition, Nibbana. We'll recite the traditional verses. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe deva anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Ettavataca amhehi sambatang punya sampadang sabbe satta anumodantu sabba sampatti siddhya. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu sasanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu desanang. Akasattha ca bummattha deva naga mahiddika punyantang anumoditva chirang rakkhantu mam parang. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. Idang vo ñātīnaṃ hotu sukita hontu ñātayo. I'm sorry, I forgot to mention the sharing of merits written in the lunch dana, this notice. Today's lunch dana is offered to wish happy birthday and good health to Gayatri Jayawardena. May the merits accrued be helpful for late Devika Jayawardena and late Emilia Samaravikrama to have a good sansaric journey and attain Nibbana in the near future. So this is something that was not, and we wish that to happen. And now we wish the association with the true people, and we'll recite the traditional verse. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Imina punya kammena mame bala samagamo satang samagamo hotu yava nibbana pattiya. Sadhu, sadhu, sadhu.